Hello and welcome to the CDO Magazine interview series. I'm Andy Park, co-founder, vice president at TeamCentral, intelligent automation company. And I have the pleasure of speaking with Colton Ray, CEO at Fuse Autotech, a company helping dealerships streamline auto financing. Welcome.
Thanks, Andy. Thanks for having me on today.
Great. Colton, tell us a little bit about your company, Fuse Autotech, and maybe a little bit about your background.
Yeah, absolutely. So Fuse Autotech was born to simplify vehicle financing at the franchise car dealership level. There's about 19,000 franchise dealers in the United States. That's who we focus on. My background, I worked in retail automotive for 17 years. I was a partner at a franchise auto dealer. Most recent role before I took over as the CEO for Fuse Autotech was the CMO, or Chief Merchandising Officer, for the Walser Automotive Group, which operated approximately 30 stores and did over 50,000 transactions per year.
Wow, awesome. So tell me, what was your inspiration then for this auto financing platform?
Well, it's really to simplify the whole purchase experience. So what I found was that people were not complaining about getting information on a dealer website. What they're most frustrated with was coming into the dealership, and even though they've done all this research online, they've done all these payment calculations, they've selected the vehicle, they go to a typical dealership, and Andy, you've probably experienced this yourself. It takes 3+ hours to buy a car. It takes 3+ hours for the store to take the customer's money. So I find that was our problem that we're trying to solve. We're trying to make the full purchase process much faster, simpler, easier, more replicable, easier to replicate with all employees. We wanted to turn everybody that worked onto the sales floor. We wanted to turn them into a cash register, and that's what we've done with our technology.
How much of this is digitally automated, meaning signing on a tablet or a mobile device versus paperwork? Because that always seemed like the monotonous, long.
Yeah, totally, Andy. So I'm going to give you a high level. We digitize the entire process, but then I'll get into the weeds a bit. Depending on the state, there are certain state documentation, like registration and titling applications, which have not been digitized yet, which you can recall from our platform and still print and sign. We can sign those digitally, but the state does require some wet signatures depending on the forms. And also it depends on the lender. So where we can digitize many lender contracts, there's certain situations and certain lenders that still do need a wet signature for their lender contract. But the vast majority of documentation that we do in the platform is signed digitally. And kind of a finer point, we actually designed and built our entire signing ceremony, so it is native to the platform.
Great. What are some of the factors that you feel have made you successful in your venture, and also any aha moments along the way?
Yeah, so that's a good question. So I would say I'm going to give you 4 things: the team, the timing, our investors, and our partners. And what I mean by that is the timing was right. With everything that we experienced in 2020 and 2021, the industry was ready to modernize the purchase process. And when I say the industry, I mean the automotive industry in the United States, specific to the franchise car dealership. Our team, we have an incredible tech team located in Tel Aviv, Israel. I've never experienced a more talented or dynamic and passionate team. Our investors who invested and believed in us, they opened many doors. They created lending connections. They helped build the team. They helped open doors for car dealerships. And then our partners, the stores that have signed up with us, they've been incredible. They not only understand our vision, but they have the patience needed for a software of this complexity to come to life.
Any particular moments of elation or aha moments along the way that said, we're getting this right, or maybe we need to pivot?
So it's never one thing, right, Andy? It's not the silver bullet. Well, maybe it is for some, but it doesn't seem to be that way for me personally. It's always a few things. So I'm going to have aha moments that maybe aren't in line with product market fit, the question, but here are my aha moments. Um, the product, our product team must be very close to our customers. So when we're building a point of sale system for the franchise variable side of the car dealership, we found that when we had the most success is when we literally had product working directly with the customer on the showroom floor, which I know we have a background up here today, but I'm literally at a car dealership today. And that's what I'm doing. I'm working with our software, with hands-on users here at the store. I'm behind the scenes as they complete transactions to understand what we can do to either make something easier, faster, or more intuitive. That's one. Product must be very close to the customer. Two, seamless integration beats best in class. Now, that's my personal opinion. And what I mean by that, and Andy, you coming from TeamCentral, we know that integration is a massive part to a lot of these companies that are emerging today, and that's no different for us. We found that the more that we can create connectivity within our software and complete all of the transaction, literally never having to leave our software, even if we didn't have every little single feature or widget or enhancement our stores would ask for, the fact that we're fully integrated with all of the legacy systems that they're currently using really put us on the top of the list for a product like ours, which is definitely a new segment. And then the last aha moment for me was really understanding and listening to the customers, which kind of goes back to the product and being very, very close to your customer. You need to be open, and we've been open to pivoting our product features and enhancements based on the needs of our customers. I know that sounds a bit canned, but the reality is it's real. So if a customer says, let me phrase it another way. Instead of, I'd rather solve a problem for my customer rather than sell the value of my product, if that makes any sense. Instead of saying I have all of these things which are really incredible, I'd rather get in there and have one thing that the customer goes, I really love this about the product. Everything else is great. This one thing is really the end all be all for me, which is different for every customer in our business. It's not the same for each customer, which is interesting.
Well, that's a great segue into my next question, which is, you have these features that customers request.
Yes.
And every customer will have different requests and needs. How do you stay focused on your product roadmap, and at the same time try to make customers happy? I know there's a balancing act there, but is there any secret sauce?
I use math. No, we built a priority tool which takes into account, first we create a column of our customer requests. We then create a column of our competitive differentiation. We create a column of product fixes. We create a column of table stakes, and then believe it or not, our founders and / investors. We then weight those columns, and then we stack on the left-hand side a category of features that we want to build or enhancements we want to do to existing product, and we give those product or features a scoring from 0 to 9, 0, 1, 3, and 9. And then through that weighting, which we work internally on the weighting between the customer requests, competitive differentiation, and whatnot, in that scoring system, it's very apparent what we need to focus on. For example, in Q4 of 2022, we had some customers asking for stronger CRM integration over what we were currently offering. And it was really a hard struggle for us to understand where that would fit in our product roadmap. And after doing this prioritization activity, it was clear that we needed to put more focus on the CRM. So I think when I'm going to go back to it, we just math it out, and we let the numbers talk.
Let the scoring model kind of drive directionally decisions, huh?
Yeah.
What about, you mentioned integration a couple times, and in addition to integration, what would you say is a major hurdle or two that you've had to overcome?
So integration is a pretty big hurdle. We've been a company for approximately 2 years. We're moving into our 25th month. We've done over 25 customer-facing integrations, which include really heavy integrations like integrating with the dealership DMS. Those that listen to this interview, they might know CDK or Techion or Reynolds and Reynolds. These are big, heavy accounting softwares that the dealership uses. So those are pretty heavy integrations. So there's a lot of complexity there on many different levels. Not only is the integration not straightforward, the way that these legacy software systems are set up for dealerships might not be the same way. So even if one store uses the exact same technology as another store, the mapping could be completely different. So that's one thing. But the other component, Andy, I would say from a pretty big hurdle for us was managing the change management that happens at a dealership when utilizing our software. Because you and I both know, very easy to plug in a software that just works and runs in the background. Really difficult when you put a piece of technology in front of someone and say you have to actively use it every day. So we've had to increase our competency around training. We act a bit as consultants for dealerships, although it's not really part of it's not our core business. So there's a bunch of work that goes behind the scenes rather than just creating the software, but also creating the roadmap for our dealer partners, what success or what good looks like using our technology. If you just give it to them, they won't quite know what to do, if that makes any sense.
So driving adoption and helping them get used to the new world with your
Totally.
What is a typical customer engagement look like?
Are we saying from
implementation?
Implementation? Yeah, because I was going to say to sell the product, it's years of relationships and 15 minutes at the right time. So just as you've experienced, Andy. So we have a really great dealer network. We've got a very strong sales division that has great relationships. It's built a lot of trust in the business. But the implementation really depends on the product. So we have 3 different products. One product is a specials automation software called Dynamic Payments. One product is digital retail, which is just what it sounds. It's a kind of a lead gen service on the dealership's website that focuses on transactional payments for the customer. And the third product is Transact, which is our meat and potatoes. That is our point of sale system that's being utilized in store at the dealership. Sidebar, I love product names that describe exactly what it is. Instead of calling maybe Dynamic Payments Ignite, which is a cool name, Dynamic Payments is exactly what it does. We dynamically generate payments for the special offers page. Digital retail is digital retail, Transact is transactions. But going through those products, implementation, dynamic payments, we can do that in as little as 3 days. So really fast to spin up that product if we have involvement from the dealership, which means getting an approval for their inventory syndication, giving us the markups that they want on their offers, giving us the lenders that they utilize, so on and so forth. So if it's fast, it could be 3 days. Typical time is a week to 2 weeks. Digital retail, it's a little bit more complex. We have a few more integrations that we utilize, and that's a 2 to 3 week process. And the whole enchilada, which is Transact, which is our point of sale system processing transactions, it would be 3 to 4 weeks of implementation. Now, we are working to always reduce the time to implement, but with a heavy product like this, much complexity, typically the reason it takes more time is just the communication back and forth from the customer and getting that data needed to set up the product.
Well, tell me a little bit about data and how important that is. I know it's important. Also, managing data quality and how do you ensure that the data that's passing back and forth through these integrations is high integrity, and tell me about how you address that.
Yeah, so that's a really good question. So one of our data partners provides rates, residuals, incentives, and stackability of rebates. And we could take an hour in discussing just this data, but this one component out of the 25 integrations that we've done in 25 months, this one component is what really fuels accurate transactable payments on all of our platforms: Dynamic Payments, Digital Retail, and Transact. And we actually are stewards to great data, because we actually supply some of this data to this provider. They normalize it, and then we utilize it in our system. So we're not only on the receiving end of the data, but we also help ingest the data. So being on both sides of that, I think, creates super squeaky clean data, and understanding the data is accurate. The second piece is that you need to, our technology, sometimes when the data is not accurate, which that can happen, you need to make sure there's workarounds in the system. So we've basically built components in our systems where when we see failures, which we've built automation around some of these data failures, we then have a way to pivot quickly and still allow our customers to utilize our platform with success. So it's not just relying on the data partners, I guess what I'm saying, Andy. It's also making sure that your platform is built, or our platform is built in a way that it can still succeed and win and complete its job without that. Now, mind you, there's more manual work from the customer if we can't use all this great data. But on the flip side, we don't want to be locked up and not be able to process the transaction.
That's a good answer. I question about a little different question. Where do you predict that the industry is going as it relates to automating, streamlining the whole buying experience, not just the financing piece, but the whole buying experience?
So I'm on the. I think there's a radical level of transparency that will happen at a franchise car dealership. And what I mean by that is, instead of a salesperson walking up to a desk or a office to get information for the customer, that will be done 100% in front of the customer. No different than going to an Apple store or your favorite retailer and being able to shop good, better, best, look at all the products, touch them, feel them, see the pricing for them. There's just not going to be these handoffs, these old traditional style handoffs. I think a radical level of transparency will happen in store, starting around the payments. And I think the other component is going to be the ability to complete an entire vehicle transaction online. That is happening. We're on the forefront of it. We understand there's some limitations with some legacy software providers, but as we work closer and closer with our partners, we see vehicle transactions happening 100% online or through a web-based application, whether it be in-store or online, but online. And again, coupled with that radical level of transparency, no different than any other retail experience you get. In fact, I think it's so interesting. Automotive is the last space where there's not a point of sale system for the car buying and selling side of our business. Go anywhere else. Most point of sale systems are held in your hand, right?
Right.
I can take your money. We're the only business that seems to do these multiple handoffs and all these softwares not connecting or talking to each other. So that's
I love getting the pricing all framed up, and you have the car that you want.
Yeah.
And then next comes, I got to go talk to the finance guy. The backdoor conversation to see if this deal can get done, kind of thing.
Yeah. And honestly, and Andy, all of that, we should be through the Fuse platform. We can do credit and compliance, instant approvals. You can see all the deal economics even before you submit your credit, as long as you've self-selected the correct credit tier, or if you want to do a soft credit pull, we can do that too. But everything you're describing at a traditional store, we can flip that on its head and make a pretty unique buying experience, which is really fun to do.
Awesome. Open-ended question, the last one. What is there anything else you'd like to share about your business and your platform, your business model, anything that would be of interest to the viewer?
I think depending on the audience, maybe a little bit of maybe talking about our biggest hurdles, and that's one that's of interest to me. I think it's always interesting, even when we were talking off air, Andy, I'm interested in your business. I'm always wondering the hurdles. So I think it's the uniqueness. Our hurdles in this business are the uniqueness of legacy technology at every car dealership. Not every franchise dealership uses the same CRM, DMS, or LOS. And then it gets even more complex because they don't even use the same combination. So that creates a unique challenge when satisfying the needs of every customer. And beyond the tech stack challenges, we've not had any, beyond the tech stack challenges, we've not had any major hurdles from a product market fit perspective. It's, does our software talk to all of the current systems that it needs to talk to complete a vehicle transaction for the car dealer? So I think that's interesting for the listener. I think on top of that, the car business is an area of huge opportunity from a technology and automation standpoint. It's a great place to be. I think it's underserved in many ways, and we can't. We're just so excited to be in this space.
That's great. Well, it was a pleasure to meet you. Thank you, Colton, for joining me today. I really appreciated the conversation and to learn, more about you and Fuse Autotech. It's awesome. Please visit cdomagazine.tech for additional interviews. Thank you, Colton.
All right. Thanks, Andy.